can't breathe. California air and allergies are choking me. It's so bad here in the Central Valley that I've wanted to paint a picture of the mountains. The whole thing would just look like a blurry white and gray canvas. Even the land leading up to the mountains is caught in a perpetual haze. The hazy and horrid air of my hometown has caused an upswing in respiratory system issues. The respiratory system is a group of specialized organs dedicated to the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. These include the trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, lungs, and diaphragm. The system is pretty simple. So simple, in fact, that there are science guy-style contraptions you can make out of 2 balloons and a 2-liter bottle of soda pop. Basically, the lungs are filled with little bubbles called alveoli that have blood vessels running really close to them. When the diaphragm contracts, it pulls the ribs apart and causes there to be a void. This void is filled with the air that rushes down the trachea, bronchi, and bronchioles. Now that you have a basic understanding of the respiratory system, let's look at how age affects them. The lungs and diaphragm are represented by a piece of rubber. This is because the system is elastic. As we age, the system does not flex or bend as well, resulting in less overall air incoming. Sort of like how an old balloon doesn't stretch. Furthermore, other things can go wrong as we age or get sick, or both. Then we will look and see how this affects people both physically and psychologically as their lungs, a fairly vital part of keeping the human body running, starts to give out due to age or illness. The infections and issues of the respiratory system have been divided into 2 main categories, upper and lower respiratory infections. Since that is the way the medical literature breaks it up, we shall too. Upper respiratory infections are typically viral in nature, and the infection is typically centered on the nose or throat, with swelling, fever, and extra mucus. These are your colds, flus, and similar maladies. What has happened is the sick person has inhaled a mucus or water droplet that was expelled by another sick person. This droplet landed in the nose or upper area and is being taken care of by the immune system. Most upper respiratory infections are typically benign, meaning that they do not lead to serious complications. Not that it won't keep me from being whiny when I have the sniffles. They are also much more common than lower respiratory infections, especially in the cooler months due to school starting back up and people standing closer to each other in the warmer buildings. Lower respiratory infections are either viral or bacterial. The infection is typically centered in the lungs, with swelling, fever, and extra mucus. This is your pneumonia and bronchitis, which have simple symptoms of too much mucus and a cough that can't seem to get it all up. Similar to the upper respiratory infection, it is spread by aerosolized particles, but here the infection is actually in the lungs themselves. These can have severe complications if left untreated and may actually be fatal. Treatment for viral conditions is focused more on treating the symptoms, while treating bacterial infections uses antibacterial medication. Confirmation of the infection may require a special type of test to determine what exactly it is, such as an X-ray for pneumonia or stains for bronchitis. These types of infections can become more common as the immune system is compromised. If the infection is already in the air and it takes root in a compromised or weakened immune system, then who do you think is likely to have this problem a lot? If you guessed the elderly, you'd be right. After the age of 55, chronic lower respiratory infections becomes the 3rd leading cause of death. Nobody likes to be sick. If you are sick with the cold or flu, then your nose feels gross and runny, your body feels like it's been run through the dryer, and all in all, you just feel like garbage. Lower respiratory infections are much the same, with the person feeling like death. We are all familiar with the physical toll that being sick takes on us. We don't want to do anything. We don't want to see anyone. We just want to crawl up in a hole until it all passes. Hidden in there is a psychological issue. Humans are naturally social creatures, and when you are constantly sick and don't want to be around people, or can't have people around, it takes a psychological toll. People with chronic infections are likely to be depressed and withdrawn from others. This makes it difficult to fight off the infection, as the immune system can be affected because people who are depressed are not likely to take care of themselves. This leads to an ever-spiraling downward effect until it likely kills the person. The respiratory system is a group of specialized organs dedicated to the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Upper respiratory infections are typically viral in nature. The infection is typically centered on the nose or throat, with swelling, fever, and extra mucus. Lower respiratory infections are either viral or bacterial. The infection is typically centered in the lungs, with swelling, fever, and extra mucus. These can increase as we age, with chronic lower respiratory infections becoming the third cause of death in the elderly. Constant infections can also take a psychological toll on a person as they never feel well.